Good morning. Bom dia. Buenos dias. Okay, we are going to continue our very interesting lecture with practical view from someone who really builds uh, fuel cells, as the one sitting on the top of the table. And please let's give it, welcome again to Gerhard Ett, Dr. Gerhard Ett.
Good morning. Fine. Have a good day yesterday. So, today we will talk about hydrogen production, the fuel for the fuel cell. We'll see that it's possible to produce very different kind of fuel for different kind of fuel cell. And let's start. Here, I saw this picture yesterday. I think it was very nice. It's a piece of puzzle for the self-sufficient living. The last piece. Here was on the climate change conference 2009. We saw very important people participate and discuss the climate and the hydrogen future. Here's the sun. It's amazing, the sun. It consumes 60 million tons of hydrogen, 600 million tons of hydrogen per second, converting to 596 million tons of energy. It's not nuclear fusion. But about the remaining, only 4 million tons per second is the heat for our Earth. Some people say, how long time will you have the sun with hydrogen? But then the heat will start to burn energy. It has enough energy.
Professor Gerhard, would you please just
Okay.
you can take it out
Okay, good.
if you wish.
So, here is a study from DOE, Department of Energy from the United States. He showed different kind of technology on different years, near term, mid-term, long term. And we can see here on a near term what happened today is the natural gas reforming. We use more natural reforming to produce hydrogen as for electrolyzer. Every hydrogen that we receive here, only 4% is from electrolysis. Or from reformer from natural gas or coal reformer. This gas that we have here in this experiment is a natural gas reformer. But we have another supplier that he used electrolyzer from Solvay. The quality of the gas is much higher but we can have the same quality as natural gas reformer, but we need to spend much more money on the purification. On the electrolysis, you have a better quality without the necessity to do the purification. Or we have some purification, but much less expensive. And here we can see biomass gasification. This is near term, what you see on this morning here. Yesterday I saw new data from biomass gasification, and I was very proud to see how many new gasification are running on the world. On the midterm, this is the electrolysis. We have different kind of electrolysis. Here, the mean is near term. It's about the high temperature electrolysis. Different kind of technology that they use. This a fuel cell, like a fuel cell, this high temperature fuel cell, solid oxide fuel cell. But we will use the opposite. But we can use the same materials. Then we start here. Again, the electrolysis, also a new kind of electrolysis with solar electrolysis. Here we saw on mid-term, long-term, co-gasification. On the future, we will have co-gasification. Why not? It's not clean. Maybe so not, maybe not. But we can do a very clean process with co-gasification. With co, we can have a very clean process. The OPEX is more intensive. Then we start here to high temperature electrolyzer. It's a different kind of electrolyzer and needed a different kind of electrolysis. But for electrolysis, we need energy. Where comes the energy? We can use the energy from the sun. Then we have another kind of photoelectrochemical process. Then we have the solar thermochemical hydrogen, and then the photobiological hydrogen. All this technology is running today. Here is lab scale. Here we start also in pilot plant. And here, all this we have in industrial plant. The capacity will increase. You can see the capacity, size of the capacity here. But one target from the DOE, he put very important target, and the target for hydrogen is $4 per kilo. This target is to compete with the hydraulic electric power and different kind of powers. Here you can see the status from hydrogen today. We have 1 million documents on the internet. We saw here a number of papers that are producing here. Here is United States. Here's China. Brazil is, I can see here, but a little is here. But we have some development on hydrogen. Here we can see how the number of papers are increasing for the days, for every years. And here we had the petrol oil crisis, and here we had the Eco 19.2. When this happened, the number of science start new research in public results. So we start today with hydrogen production and storage for fuel cell. First, the fuel processing may define the conversion of the waste primary fuel. Different kind of fuel supplied to fuel cell system. In the fuel cell system, in the fuel gas required by that stack. Here important, each type of fuel cell stack has some particular fuel requirement. For example, For phosphoric acid fuel cell, the hydrogen rich and contain less than 0.5% of carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is a poison for phosphoric acid fuel cell, as so for PEM. And carbon monoxide on PEM fuel cell, this cell here, need necessary carbon can have any monoxide free. But molten carbonate fuel cell and solid oxide fuel cell, they both are capable to utilize carbon monoxide through the gas shift reaction. This gas shift reaction that we put water vapor inside the process react on the carbon monoxide and this reaction occur on the cell. And the solid oxide fuel cell, they have an internal reformer and can utilize methane with the fuel cell. But phosphoric acid and PEM is not possible. We need much more temperature to occur this process here, the internal reforming. If you use nickel, it's possible to process in 1600 degrees, but the PEM fuel cell operates 65 degrees. And here we can saw some different gas species, the hydrogen, carbon monoxide, methane, carbon dioxide, sulfur. And here we can see on PEM fuel cell, poison is CO. But here we know that here there is also poison for sulfurs, also poison for the fuel cell. Alkaline fuel cell, the CO2 is a poison. On phosphoric acid, CO is also poison. Morgan carbonate fuel cell, sulfur is poison. And on also sulfur on SOFC. Because sulfur reacts on the catalyst that they have here, is nickel. Carbon monoxide reacts on the catalyst that we have here, is platinum. Then the poison is for the platinum, or is corrosive for the electrode. And here we can see that 4% of the hydrogen of the wood in about 50 billion cubic meter per year from hydrogen that we produce today, 4% come from electrolysis, 18% coal, 48% natural gas, and only 30% oil. Then here we can have an idea the hydrogen production on the world. But all the most hydrogen we will produce for the petrochemical industry. Here we can saw again some DOE target for different kind of technology that produce hydrogen. And here we can saw how the target change every 6 years and what they are changing the target. And here we can see the distributed hydrogen production from natural gas. Another target, electrolysis hydrogen production. Also we can see the price. They need to decrease. Another, center wind and water electrolysis. Decrease. Look here, very drastic reduction. And the company, the institute, they try to find to to fix this target. Central wind water electrolysis, also squeeze, look here. Biomass gasification, pyrolysis, hydrogen production. Look here. Gasification, biomass gasification. They reduce a lot from $1. Solar-driven hydrogen, temper chemical hydrogen production. This for the Department of Energy from United States. They think that they will have the lowest cost of the hydrogen production. Photochemical hydrogen production. So, and here we can saw also in another data, not for DOE, that we can compare the cost per kilowatt hour hydrogen with different kind of technology and the emission of CO2. Then we can saw that with natural gas, the cost is very low. Here, they will emit more CO2. This is, we can understand why the price is so low and why no? A fonte está onde? Só voltar um pouco. Não, voltar. Mais. Voltar mais. Mais. Aqui. Now we understand the reason that we have more natural gas reformer. The price to produce is very low. Acho que é o botãozinho. So, and here you can saw that some technology, look here, coal gasification with CO2 sequestration. Look here. Is coal and with very low CO2 emission. This is the reason that they put on the future this technology. Coal gasification, normal gasification, here. Coal gasification with CO2 sequestration, here. Electrolysis and this kind of technology is the future.
Because you said like for the coal, for the natural gas, and for the oil, what I have no idea what kind of technology they use.
Yeah,
like using oil.
I will show you today, but I have a picture from the oil. The name is Raft. It's a subproduct from petrol, from oil, and they have a entrain flow gasifier. In Brazil, we have 4 plants in Araucária, in Paraná, and they do the gasification of the RASF to produce urea and ammonia. Good. I have the picture here, but not in this computer. So, hydrogen. Well, no.
One more question.
Oh.
My name is Csaba from Hungary. What technology is used to CO2 sequestration? That's not very clear. It's like clean coal. It doesn't exist. Clean hydrogen with coal. What technology you use to capture the CO2?
Yeah, I will talk a little about this, But there is some project that one is on the process. It's more easy to. You have a Rectisol, that same that they use on the Araucaria plant from Petrobras. It's a methanol. Then they cool the methanol and absorb the CO2. And then we will read the Rectisol again to put off the CO2. For example, on biomass plant, the companies, biomass plant, gasification plant, the companies like to buy this CO2 because a green CO2. Another process is to inject back to the well, so okay.
Yeah, just make sure it stays there, yeah, forever. Good luck. Okay, thank you.
Petrobras do this on the petroleum refinery, extraction, petroleum extraction. So, hydrogen is the most abundant element on the universe, 75%, 30% of the mass of the sun, third most abundant of the air on the earth, colorless, odorless, very, very low density, 14 times more dense than air. And here's nice. 1 kilo of hydrogen has approximately the same energy that 3.5 liter of oil, 2.1 kilo of natural gas, and 2.8 kilo of petrol. This combustion generates 8,000 kilocal per kilo. So very high elevate enthalpy. If we compare density energy, we saw here hydrogen, 141 megajoule per kilo, gasoline, 47 megajoule per kilo, natural gas, 47, methane, methanol, ethanol, kerosene, coal, and wood. It's very different. One point here is, here they are on the gas phase, here solid phase. This is different because we note here only kilo, but the area that they occupy is very different. Here we need to, it's a normal cubic meter, not pressurized. But we can compare the data. So, hydrogen production. We can have different kind found for hydrogen. Gasification for florist, or biological process that decompose the forest and produce methane and then produce hydrogen. Waste of the sugarcane production from biogas. Direct from the sugarcane production, from a water electrolysis for hydro or solar eolic. We have two big projects running today. One is from SESP to produce, and another from a transmission energy project. Also from oil to produce hydrogen. We have different kind of technology of fuel cell, but one I didn't mention is a reverse fuel cell. But what's a reverse fuel cell? It's like electrolysis. A PEM electrolysis and a PEM fuel cell has the same materials. Change a little from the electrode. So one is titanium, another carbon black, graphite. But a solid oxide fuel cell for produce energy, and the electrolysis, high temperature electrolysis from the basis of solid oxide fuel cell is the same. There is a project from NASA. The name is Helios. They have 74 meters the length of the other wings. The wings. And then it's a very special aircraft, and they run without external fuel 25 hours. They have batteries, photovoltaic panels, and operate 25 hours. But we have, some primary fuel. We have natural gas that we can reform. We have methanol, can reform or direct methanol fuel cell. We have biogas, decomposition from the garbage, gas reformation, ammonia reformation. Yesterday on the internet, I tried to change my presentation for today. I find a company that's selling on the internet ammonia fuel cell. For a long time, 10 years ago, I saw on the fuel cell congress a company there. But now it's a very nice product, well designed. Ethanol, strategic for Brazil, but not only for Brazil. And to storage, we can direct hydrogen tanks, 35 bars, but the European trend to 700 bars. Methyl hydrate, carbon nanotube, liquid hydrogen. I will discuss more about it. On the hydrogen production, we have the water electrolysis. And we have different kind of water electrolysis. The conventional electrolysis, we have the old electrolysis that they use mercury. They have the advanced electrolysis with new electrodes, special membranes, like a PEM membrane, an Nafion. And we have also the fossil fuel and biomass gasification. Then we saw this reaction here. Then we have the partial oxidation of heavy hydrocarbons, is the RAS that you told, asked me. Steam reforming of ethanol and natural gas. Then we start with thermal decomposition of water, high temperature, the water decompose. We have the chemical water decomposition, here, with iron chloride, with hydrogen, and also byproducts, industrial waste, the very famous chloroalkali process. All the materials from the PEM fuel cell, the membrane, start here. Start to use on chloroalkali process, and then they change the technology to use on the PEM fuel cell.
Is it possible to produce with like wastewater? Can you go back in the slides? Yeah, this thermal decomposition of water, this process. Is it possible to produce hydrogen using like wastewater?
Yeah, but you need only temperature. But you need so much temperature that if you use some catalyst, it's much more efficient. It's possible, yeah. What happened on the nuclear reactor? So, I like this picture here because we have here the fuel cell type with the temperature. Here we saw the solid oxide fuel cell that run high temperature, molten carbonate fuel cell, 600 degrees, phosphoric acid fuel cell, 200 degrees, and PEM fuel cell, 800 degrees. And then here we have natural gas or liquid fuel, ethanol, for example, methanol. For methanol, we need to start evaporation to produce gas. Then, on liquid fuel, we didn't have sulfur, but natural gas, we need to desulfurize the natural gas. When it desulfurizes, we can use direct here, because here they have nickel as catalyst, and the sulfur could react with the nickel. Then they need to put out the nickel. Here you have some, you can convert to hydrogen and fuel to produce a syngas. Then it will be more easy to produce energy here. Some parts you like to change CO, say carbon monoxide, to have more hydrogen. Then we have the shift reaction. Then we can use direct on the phosphoric acid fuel cell. But the PEM fuel cell, the normal PEM fuel cell, they are very intolerant, look here, less than 10 ppm of carbon monoxide. Then they need to have a CO2 selective oxidation. They put very little part of oxygen inside the hydrogen to oxide the carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide. Then we have carbon dioxide, no problem. When we use high temperature HTPEM, it's possible to increase the tolerance of this carbon monoxide to 3%. This is fantastic. So we start with reforming process. The gas that we have here in the cylinder. We start with, and also the gas, the process that we have here on this gas here is from the steam reforming ethanol or natural gas reforming. But this is an endothermic process. This high yield of hydrogen, steam methane reforming, this is steam methane reforming. They can produce hydrogen at the same gas in the ratio of 3.1 or 5:1. On Fischer-Tropsch process to produce gasoline, normally use 2:1. But we have some variation of the process. If you use different kind of catalyst, we can change all the reaction. Then the catalyst is very important to direct, to show the way, but what product we like to have. Here we have a INT from Brazil. They study very strong catalyst. Also here in the São Paulo University, in Polytechnic School, we have one of the best team to work catalyst. Steam methane reforming. Here we can see the reactions. We have the methane react with water, gas, high temperature water, and produce carbon monoxide and hydrogen. The CO2, carbon monoxide, can react with water, vapor, will produce CO2 plus hydrogen. All this reaction, they use nickel as catalyst. They run in high temperature process. They have an indirect flame outside reformer to heat all the process. Because this here, they operate without oxygen, but it's possible to operate also with oxygen but then is another name of process. On the steam reforming, depend of the temperature of the process, you can change the product that we will have. Look here, the concentration of hydrogen increase when you increase the temperature. And here, I can go back. And here, one big problem from all the catalysts that run on high temperature, the same for the carbonate fuel cell on SFC fuel cell, is the risk that on the fuel cell system can form carbon inside the fuel cell, inside the reformer catalyst. This can occur in several areas of the system where hot fuel gas is present. But it's possible to control this if you put a little water inside. I will show some pictures about it. Here, a simple expedient to reduce the risk of formation of carbon is to add steam and the fuel stream. This principal effect of this to promote the shift reaction, which has the effect to reduction the partial pressure of the carbon monoxide. Then we reduce the pressure. This steam also leads to the carbon gasification reactor that is really very fast. Here's a project from Siemens, solid oxide fuel cell. Then we can see here the desulfurization, and here the catalytic adiabatic pre-reformer, and here the high temperature fuel cell. Then we have the autothermal reformer. We note here that we put a little oxygen inside the reformer, and here is minus 50. Then it's like a steam reformer, but when we put oxygen inside, we can heat more easy the reformer. And the ratio of the syngas proportion changed also. Was 3.1, now it's 2.1. Here's some example for steam reformer, and from Siemens, is the control, but there is a reformer from Germany, and they can use different kind of fuel, natural gas, propane, gasoline, diesel, kerosene, and ethanol. Here we can see the design of reformer. Here you have the burner. Here we have the vaporization of the fuel. Here you have the reformator zone. Then heat and change. Then here you have the shift reaction. It's a lower temperature. Again, heat exchanger. And here the last part to remove all other contaminants, CO remotion. And here we can also use pressure swing absorption, PROX, partial oxidation, and also palladium membrane. It's very useful in some new small reformer. So here is a diagram from our German reformer. Then here you can see the reformer and all the process that they have to control the process. I will show more details of the project. Here you can see this part here, the temperature of the reformer. Here the temperature inside the reformer, outside the reformer. Here the power of the stack. They change the power, the electronic load. And here we saw the answer that the temperature from the cell increase, then decrease, then increase and decrease. And the temperature of the reformer stays stable. This is very important that this reformer work with the fuel cell. Here then we start, interrupt the fuel cell, and the reformer stay stable. Nice result here. Different kind of natural reformer. Here is a reformer with a fuel cell, all in one piece. Here is LPG reformer. Then here now is an autothermal reformer with a methanization of CO2. They transform CO in methane. Here a project that we participate with SESP and CHESF. This is a natural gas reformer, and we put the reformer, we feed with hydrogen the 5 kilowatt fuel cell. More detail of the project and reformer. Here we need to desulfurize because this is in Rio de Janeiro. In Rio de Janeiro, near the Mangue, on the sea, we have a lot of sulfur. If you put one piece of copper in 1 week, they transform in copper oxide, black copper oxide. Here you can see the burner with 2 sensors, and here the water injection for the gas shift reaction, and here all the electronic power control. Here's the reformer. This is the gas shift reactor. The another reformer is the autothermal reformer. What you saw, that all this technology here, we use the same technology on the gasification process. And here the autothermal reformer, we use methane, react with oxygen, we will produce carbon monoxide and water. And what we note, I'll show more next slide. Here, the water gas shift reactor and partial oxidation, they can see here we see the reformer, the water gas shift reaction, the prox that we remove the CO2 to produce only hydrogen. Then this hydrogen go direct here. And here you can see all the catalysts that they can use on the water gas shift reaction. We can see nickel, iron, cobalt, platinum, palladium on the support cerium oxide. Here again, I like this picture here because you can see here the proportion of water, gas, water vapor on ethanol. We saw that if we increase the proportion of water, decrease the quantity of carbon on the gas. Then we saw that the quantity of water is very important to control the formation of carbon on the catalyst of nickel. Here, I had this picture here for about 15 years. But what had changed yesterday? here was they will install 200 units. Yesterday changed. 2,000 units were installed in 15 years. It's amazing. Congratulations for Japan. And here we can see, okay, we'll go back. Acho que o botãozinho que quebrou aqui. Yeah. Tá bom, deixa. Here we can see the efficient with high heating value. High heating value, if you use high heating value, very low efficient. If we transform to low heating value, the efficiency will increase. And here we have the partial oxidation of ethanol. And here we put a little oxygen, substoichiometric oxygen, and we have a fast response at time, more compact reactor. The disadvantage that we can have some familiarity, we can work on the range of familiarity limits. The proportion of hydrogen is little, 1.6 to 0.8, but the quality of the gas is much better. And the enthalpy is minus 550. And here we can see the oxidation of carbon forming carbon monoxide. Some design of the reformer, we have very different kind of design, and we can, every company has their own patent in design, different design. Here we can saw two plants. One is a co-gasification from Texaco, GE, and here partial oxidation from Linde, it's a German gas company, work with white martins. And here we can see different kind of energy producing AC energy to the city or the grid. In each place here we can have hydrogen, produce hydrogen, accumulate hydrogen, stored energy. This is the problem with all this energy here, that you can't store it. But with hydrogen we can store it, and with batteries we can store all this energy here. But to purify, we mentioned that for PEM fuel cell we need to purify. Then we need a selective oxidation, a methanization, a palladium membrane. On the reformer that we worked, they have the palladium platinum membrane. Also, we have the pressure swing absorption. This is a very nice. There is a plant from EOP in Belgium. They have 12 feet. What is this? This is different kind of pressure absorb materials, and he absorb, change the pressure, but you need to have different vessel. When you have high pressure, you absorb, you close the valve and go to the other vessel, pressure the other vessel, then you open the valve, disabsorb the first vessel. You are changing, open, closing valves to happen. You have different materials, that absorption materials, different process. Is one kind of process. This is a 25 kilowatt PEM fuel cell that they work with also with clean gas system. Here they have a reformer. They have the selective oxidation to clean the gas to come through the fuel cell. The desulfurization is also very important. Natural gas and petroleum leads contain organic sulfur, and there is a poison for the PEM fuel cell and high temperature fuel cell too. They have also, I mentioned, the membrane reactor is a selective membrane through palladium, and then they filter the hydrogen and separate the CO2. This is a new project. I have a student, they studied this. There is a high efficient solar thermal chemical reactor. They have two steps, one of the oxidation and another that you react with hydrogen. Then you oxidize the oxide here and produce hydrogen. This is a very nice project, and is as DOE, Department of Energy, is one of the future of the hydrogen production. They have the chance to have the lower price. They use the sun for energy for all these reactions. I will talk very little about pyrolysis because from pyrolysis you can produce hydrogen. And Suani, on the next week, she will talk about pyrolysis. But what's different about combustion, gasification, and pyrolysis? One is combustion with excess of air. Gasification, less air, superstoichiometric air. In pyrolysis, no air. You heat on outside compartment. From here you will produce bio oil and gas, pyrolytic gas, and hydrogen. Here you produce the more quality hydrogen. Some pyrolysis you heat without oxygen. They could have a little oxygen also. Then we will have fuel. We will produce tars, hydrogen, methane, and char. Some pyrolysis process use the charge to heat the pyrolysis process. Here the oil. If we compare this oil here, bio oil, with petrol, it's quite similar. But the calorific value of petrol is higher. But it's very similar as petrol. So gasification is where we produce more hydrogen here on the world. And it's a partial oxidation process where carbon, such as coal, natural gas, or biomass, is broken down in carbon monoxide, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, and methane. Here we can see this burn here. In this side here, you have combustion, excess of oxygen. This place here, you saw, is not yellow. Here is a pyrolysis, no oxygen, but all oxygen are burning using here. Here, you have a little light. Here says gasification with less oxygen. And here you have charcoal. And this is a simple demonstration that you see the four processes: combustion, pyrolysis, gasification, and charcoal formation. For gasification, you can use Latin American coal. We have a very good calorific heating value, like here, 600 kilocal per kilo, the enthalpy here. and very high here. We compare Brazilian coal, it's a little, but we have also very good coal. This coal we can produce hydrogen. Here we can saw using biomass. We also have in our composition here we can see on biomass we have hydrogen and we have carbon. With carbon you can produce hydrogen using water gas shift reactor. Here you can see the hydrogen. Is all here, other here, it's a problem. And here is another unity, but here we saw 70 megajoule per kilo. Is a very good data, but it's, if you compare with kilocal, a little, the enthalpy is little that the coal. Coal is much better. But it's nice data here. Here we can have different kind of gasifier. Can fluid that bed, in train flow, fixed bed, but 77% of the gasifier are fixed bed, 20% fluid that bed. Here we can see the application for different kind of technology. You need to, the feedstock must be different. In train flow, let's have the biggest and the mass production of hydrogen, you need to have fine particle or in liquid form. The ROS they use here, this process here, from oil, they use in form of liquid. It's a stone, then the heat, the stone, the liquid, turn liquid, then they inject inside the reactor. You can see the different kind of gasification process. They have a fixed bed, co-current, contact current. You have the circulation fluid that bed, stationary unit bed, and here is the different kind of upflow in train flow, in downflow in train flow. And big company working with gasification. Here is a very new data I take yesterday. All the gasification plant on the world. And here we can see the data. Here, look here. Brazil, we have very big gasification plant. All reformer. This here is more reformer plant. And this here, on the middle, is from Araucaria. If you go to this side, he will show you all data from the plant. It's a very nice plant. In China, very big places, very big gasifiers. Here is also, we had a lot of projects, 2,800 gasifier, and this technology grows very fast. It's amazing. Here the syngas production for different kind of product. Look here. Refinery for hydrogen for refinery, hydrogen. Then we see we have a lot of hydrogen. Hydrogen is not the problem. The problem is the distribution of the hydrogen on our house, on the companies, but not on the refinery. This is the problem for the hydrogen economy. But we have hydrogen. We have the technology. Look here, what happened. 2008, 2010, look here. Amazing. Production of hydrogen. Here. And here's some process to produce the fuel, for example, diesel. Then you have the gasification, gas conditioning, Fischer-Tropsch, then to produce diesel. The name is PTL to diesel, to liquid. Sorry. This is a project that I participate on IPT. Is to produce hydrogen from biomass, bagasse from sugarcane. Then the project was 1 ton hydrogen, and we produce 3.0 kilo-hour from hydrogen. And also the other byproduct is CO2. This is the detail of the project. You can see here, in this plant we produce 260 kilograms of syngas. And start with two processes. We will control rarefaction and pyrolysis process. This is different kind of thermal power gasification. And here we can see the 1 ton biomass, 40 bars. And we will explain why we use 40 bars. This is a reason. Why we use 40 bars high pressure on the gasification process? Because if you use low pressure, for the Fischer-Tropsch process, you need pressure. Then if you need to pressure feed the gas pumping and the syngas compression, you will lose energy. The total energy that you will lose 22 megawatt, you lost energy. But if you produce gasification with 50 bars, you consume only 5 megawatt. Then sometimes it's better to increase the pressure of your plant. This is the reason that on the electrolysis, they also try to have electrolysis production, hydrogen production, with higher pressure. Because when you need to compress the hydrogen to the tank, to the cylinder, you lost energy. And then is the reason that we have today electrolyzers with 60 bars pressure. You could see gasification, shift reaction, clean gas. Look here. 50% of the plant is clean gas process. 50% of 50% from the capex is clean gas. This is the reason that clean gas is not good for the plant. It's very expensive. But if you use, for example, this gas with high temperature fuel cell that we can operate with some impurity, reduce the cost of the gas cleaning. So the gas cleaning depends where you use your hydrogen. Here we compare different kind of gasification process. And here, the efficient energy, where we lost energy. So the plant have a small plant, 41% efficient. Here the rarefaction lost 18% efficient. Here the pyrolysis weight 16%, gasification 12%, shift reaction only 1%, gas cleaning 7%. When we start with a bigger plant, 550 megawatt, the efficient increase, but all these data stay the same. One very nice in this project, in an optimistic plant, the return of investment is 286%. A very high number. We need to, I ever think that we not start to construct, we need to calculate the price, have an estimate of the price. So, what we can do with syngas? A lot of things. With syngas, you can use Fischer-Tropsch, produce gasoline, naphtha, diesel, methanol, DME, the methyl ether, acetic, methyl acetate, or hydrogen for fuel cell refinery, or also syngas for fuel cell, combustion motors, gas turbine, can use in fast application syngas. But our syngas, you need catalyst, special catalyst. Then we have a special industry that they study only the catalyst that we use on the syngas production or on the methanol route. So we start with electrolyzer. It's very nice product. We can have a very clean gas, but they consume a lot of energy to produce energy to a fuel cell. You need about 5 kilowatt, 5.3 kilowatt or 4 kilowatt to produce 1 kilowatt on the fuel cell. But this is not good. Also, this is good. Depend of the price that you have on the energy. For Itaipu, it's the more beautiful scenarios. They didn't pay for the energy. They have a low price for the energy. And then the energy that you produce with the fuel cell is very low. But they can store energy. But with hydrogen, you can store, you can pipe the hydrogen. The pipe from Itaipu to São Paulo is a very big storage hydrogen tank. And then here we can use the electrolyzer. We divide the water in hydrogen and oxygen in two compartments, the anode and cathode, and we have the oxidation of the hydrogen and reduction of the oxygen. The same that you have on the fuel cell. The advantage of the electrolyzers, the product hydrogen is very pure. They don't need to be stored. It's much easier and safer to supply than bottle of hydrogen. Like here, my cylinder gas. I just put on the stock, on the tension, and I can produce in this moment hydrogen for my fuel cell. The other way, I would transport the cylinder. At this time, hydrogen electrolyzer would be more easy. Here you calculate the efficiency of the electrolyzer, but you change the number here, the position of the number. For high heating value, you put in this side here. Invert the formula. We can create the pressure, but the gas can generate it and not released until a high pressure has built inside the electrolyzer. The pressure will be increasing inside the electrolyzer. Then you open the valve, you have the pressure. You can also, from biological products, have hydrogen. And you have the PEM electrolyzer. It's very similar to a fuel cell. You have the anode, you have the cathode. Here we have the different kind of construction, but look, it's a PEM fuel cell. It's the same PEM fuel cell, but it's a different material. The electrodes are different because if you use carbon here on high tension, we will oxidize the carbon. Then you need to have a different materials. They use titanium. And titanium you can use with iridium oxide or with I forget the name. Okay, use titanium and iridium one side, and okay. Here we can see the catalyst that you use. There's some high-tech electrolyzer. You also use the platinum, also use a Vulcan, it's the carbon black. The name is ruthenium oxide, iridium and ruthenium oxide as coating. Because the titanium, if the oxide, he will produce a little coating inside, and you have a problem, electric contact problem. If you use ruthenium oxide or iridium oxide, the resistance will be very low, electric resistance will be very low. Here you can see the titanium current collector, and here's some microscope pictures on the spherical particle of this kind of material current. It's a sintered titanium particle here. This also we can study here in University of São Paulo. Here is the very, very high-tech electrolyzer, very new electrolyzer. There is no more than 5 years. You produce 60 bars with a PEM electrolyzer. 60 bars. The normal electrolyzer will produce 7 bars. The maximum, the best electrolyzer, 15 bars. It is a 60 bar PEM. Here's another suppliers of water electrolysis. Here we can compare different suppliers of the water PEM. One is the proton oxide, is very famous. ETM, also very famous. Hydrogenics, also very famous. Siemens. And the maximum pressure that they can produce, look here, 75 bar. Fantastic, fantastic. But the alkaline water electrolysis, when start? Oh, very old technology. But very old technology, but run every day. This is a new technology also. They evolve this technology. It's not more the same technology as 100 years ago. And here, what happened is they use KOH, and what the ions that are on the system is AOH minus. Big size, 2 megawatt electrolyzer on the fabrication. You saw the size is bigger, much bigger than a PEM fuel cell. Then if you need too much hydrogen, it's not a PEM fuel cell, it's an alkaline fuel cell. And here you can compare different kind of electrolyte, sodium hydroxide and sodium hydroxide, and here you can see the concentration with the concentration of the solution. Here we can also compare different kind of suppliers. Look here, so many suppliers on water electrolysis. All this here is always very good. But here you can note the pressure. But this here, just have a compressor to compress the hydrogen. Another different kind. Stewart, very famous. Teledyne, very famous. Proton, North Hardon, all this is very famous company, very big companies. So we start now with a new development, high temperature steam electrolysis. This is a high temperature oxide fuel cell, but we change the site. We change its opposite size. Then we used also zirconium here. We have the same electrolyte, zirconium oxide, with yttria. And here we have the water vapor plus electron. And here we can saw the oxygen side. Then they produce hydrogen. But also they produce, this is a SOFC, high temperature. And they can produce hydrogen from this process. And this company, they work also with fuel process, and they can produce from also using syngas application. Detail of the process, steam, renewable electricity, the carbon, they will produce a syngas. It's also a chemical reactor. Another point, this is from Fran Barbi. Someone asked me about the electrochemical hydrogen compressor. It's like a PEM fuel cell, but they use only one side of fuel cell. Here is hydrogen, here is hydrogen, but different concentration of hydrogen. Then you have an oxidation of the hydrogen. The hydrogen comes to this side here and increase the pressure of the hydrogen. Then we work in looping, then we are increasing the technology. He presented here on the World Hydrogen Economy Conference in Rio de Janeiro last month. Hydrogen safety is very important. This is a Zeppelin. But one important point is the number of was 77, but only 2/3 of people survived. The problem was the people was burned by the diesel fuel from the propulsion system, not from hydrogen. And the problem was the skin of the airship was made of a high flammable component. And that was the problem from the hydrogen. It burned, but what the cause was not the hydrogen. It was electrostatic between here and the aircraft. There's a static, electrostatic energy, then start to burn the skin of the airship. Here we can compare propane and hydrogen. We saw that propane have a lower ignition limit, 1.7. Hydrogen have 4. But propane with a little more can ignite, but hydrogen 77%. All is gases, danger gases. We need to take care. The same protection we have with hydrogen, we need to have with propane. All are fuel. Here's a car test from DOE with oil and with hydrogen. Here we have a valve, that open the valve, start burn the hydrogen. And the color is a colorless, little blue. For hydrogen tank, I will fast run a little now. We have a different kind of technology to armazenate the hydrogen in high pressure cylinder, in liquid hydrogen, and absorb hydrogen on intensive site. And here you can see that the gravimetric density and volumetric density that here, for example, complex compound, you have very high volumetric density of kilo of hydrogen per cubic meter. Different kind of materials. You can here compare the 700 bars with the volumetric of the tank, and here the chemical compound, the AB liquid, the volumetric system. I will show again. Here we can compare with hydrate, the same quantity of 4 kilo hydrogen here, here, and with hydrogen tank 200 bars. But if you increase the pressure, you will decrease proportional the size of the tank. Here you can see the liquid hydrogen tank from GM, and here the aluminum with carbon fiber for 700 bars. Here we can compare the seal cylinder 200 bars and the carbon with aramid fiber epoxy is aluminum tank. And here we can see the mass of hydrogen storage here and here. So that we have much more hydrogen in this cylinder as in this cylinder. Then we note that with this kind of technology, it's much more, you can have much more hydrogen inside. Some problem with hydrogen, we need special materials. The hydrogen environment, and they could break if you don't crack if you don't use special materials for hydrogen. If I use hydrate, I had also different kind of, you can store much more on hydrate as in liquid hydrogen. This one of place that to show the future, what could happen. But today I will show you something I never know. Yesterday I'm studying about a new application. I will show you later. This is a ovonic tank from metal hydride. The different kind of materials. I will send you the presentation for you. You have time to read. And every time you have where I receive this data. This reaction of lanthanum nickel, AB5. Different types of materials you can use. Here's the AB5. Different kinds of materials, form that you can use to store energy. Again, you can see volume of hydrogen. I have 2 minutes, I run a little. Again, we compare different kinds of hydrogen, methane, ammonia to show you. So here are some sites you can send, you can have. Some look, there is a very nice site here, have a lot of information that you have. And I think try every site here to, you will see very nice data. So, thank you again. Every time I told you, Professor Simões.
Okay, then again, let's go to the break, and so you can also talk to him. Okay, I'll see you in 20 minutes.